Appreciate you attending the class this morning. Hope to give you some practical information that you can take back to your jobs as well as your homes and personalize to help you be more prepared. That's what this is all about. So my presentation is called Red Alert, Be Ready Before It Hits. I'm going to really stress upon being prepared and things to do, SOPs, practical steps to give you to be prepared in advance. So with that, let's get started. So as he said, I'm Brent Dickson. He kind of ran the resume. If you need my contact information, it's here. You can scan the QR on your phone. That'll take you directly to my business card if you need me. I am based here in Central Florida. My team is here as well. There are 4 of us here at the show. We got Jacksonville, Tampa, South Florida, and Orlando represented. So any of us that are here, we also have 11 offices in Florida. So wherever you are, we can help you out. So just come see us at the booth later. So who am I? He kind of gave you the rundown. I'm extremely involved in the industry. I'm also a board member with FLAPA. I serve as the business partner liaison and on the planning committee for this event. So hopefully you're having a good time so far. I'm extremely involved in a lot of organizations, including apartments, very heavily, BOMA, IREM, IFMA, CAI, which is condos, of course, FLAPA, FHEA, which is your healthcare industry, and CFHLA, which is hospitality. So got a very rounded experience of a lot of industries. I would say my top 3 verticals include K through 12, as well as colleges and universities. So I'm very skilled in your roles as well, or not your roles, but in your industry. One thing I wanted to point out is this logo. We're going to talk about it as we get into the presentation, especially when it comes to water damage. But I want you to be very familiar with that logo. We had dinner last night. I had some great conversation, but some of the folks I was talking with, they take care of a lot of their own water damage, which is normal. I'm not complaining against that, but I do recommend that you know exactly what you're doing, in particular when it comes to mold. You guys are up for lawsuits, especially when you have students involved and parents that pay a lot of money to send their kids to your schools. So I want you to be extremely careful when you do water cleanup. We're going to talk about some of that. And I also offer an in-house mold and water damage class specifically for lunch and learns that I recommend. If you want me to come in, I'll feed your staff and do a similar presentation just on that to help you be more adept at doing water and mold. But if you hire outside, make sure they have that logo. That holds them accountable. And that means when Morgan & Morgan calls you, you have some backup. Okay. If you're doing it in-house, be very careful. You're allowed to do up to 100 square feet or you're going to be liable. So be careful. I am a water restoration tech and an applied structural drying certified guy. There's about 20 different certifications that IICRC offers. I'm a sales guy. I don't do anything, and my company still wants me to have stuff. So across the board for everything. Very important. Who is Belfor? Has anybody heard of Belfor? You don't count, Chris. I know you know us. Anybody else heard of Belfor? Know who's Belfor is? Okay. In a crowd, normally I get 1 or 2 hands, which is amazing because we're literally the largest in the world. We're global. We have offices across everywhere you can name. So in North America, especially, we're everywhere. We serve all 50 states. We have 150 offices. I think we're actually 153 now in the United States, including Hawaii and Alaska. And we focus on insurance catastrophe losses as well as your day-to-day little problems. So I think we get kind of like that typecast, we're always known as the big guy. You have a hurricane or a major fire or flood, call us. And yes, please do. But we also do the little water losses from day to day, your little toilet overflows, your freshwater lines, your ACs, et cetera. I'm happy to do the small jobs. Don't forget us about the small jobs too. Our whole thing is restoring more than property. So we don't just show up and do the dry out. We're a complete turnkey general contractor. We do the restoration and the reconstruction if you need us to. And we do it with white glove service. When you get a bid from us, it's all encompassing. So some people say we're too expensive. That's because they're not comparing apples to apples. And the game out there is the contractors will give you a low bid, hide a bunch of stuff from the scope and hit you later with change orders. We give you everything up front. So yeah, it's going to look like it's more expensive. At the end of the day, we generally are lower than our initial estimates are. Just keep that in mind. And we are experts at what we do. Some details about Belfor. I'll get through this quickly because it's really not a commercial about me. I just said we're a general contractor, full service, experts in restoration. We're owned and operated by a family. We're not a franchise like our biggest competitor is. That means you get the same hamburger no matter which restaurant you go to. We're in charge of it. And if I screw something up, you come to me and I fix it. That's how it works. We're not perfect. We're humans, but we take care of our customers every time. That's a big deal. Some of the highlighted services that we offer, the yellow is going to be what you're going to call me for most often. Biohazard means you have something deceased and you have a stinky smell and some fluids that you need to get rid of. We do that. Not a lot of people do that. Keep that in mind. And then the blue stuff is something interesting I wanted to point out, especially for colleges and universities. So documents and media recovery are one of the few companies in the world that if you ever had a bad flood or a mold or something like that, even fire, sometimes soot damage, we can actually take your documents and restore them to almost brand new quality, especially some of your old historical documents, anything legally important in nature. We can restore all that. If it's been in a flood, we actually ship everything to Texas and we put it in a dry ice system that we have, and we can restore those documents. We've done congressional documents, things like the Constitution, things like that. We can restore those back to almost original quality. It is not cheap. So when you do that, realize that. But if your libraries are sensitive, you have really important information or legal documents, we're one of the few companies that can do that. Vital records, electronics. A lot of people get their stuff wet. Your server room got flooded and they throw everything in the garbage, file an insurance claim and get new stuff. That's fine. But if you want us to restore electronics, we're one of the few companies that does that as well. A lot of that stuff can be salvaged. You don't realize that. And then environmental. So that could be EPA type cleanups. You have a sewage runoff, any kind of fuel spills in the pond. We had a homeless encampment that was over near Valencia. They called us to come and just do a removal of the needles and all the stuff that was in the ground. That's an environmental cleanup. So we can do that as well. We do a lot of things that people don't realize. So fires, flood, mold, blood, all the bad stuff. You call me at 2 a.m., I'm your easy button. You guys have a lot on your plate. Let me help you out when those kind of things happen. So this is the end of the commercial. We'll get into the seminar here. So hope you had your coffee and alcohol because the stuff we're going to talk about is a little stressful. We're covering everything disaster. So that includes your fire damage. These are my pictures, by the way, some of the things I've experienced. They are devastating. Water damage, newer buildings have sprinklers. That's great. They save lives, but that water causes a lot more damage than you realize, especially if you don't get to it fast. We're going to talk about that a lot. It comes from your sprinklers, your ACs, your water heaters, your pipes, windows and roofs. We just did a $2.7 million hail damage, 2 buildings, 3 stories, Eastern Florida State College last year during occupied student time, and their library and their administrative offices. All 3 floors got flooded from hail damage. It happens more than you realize. There's a lot going on out there, but that got done in about 3 months while the kids were in school, and the administrators were happy, and our FM guys didn't get yelled at, so everybody came out of that pretty rosy. Other stuff, toilets. My picture is not firing up. There we go. So backups in your toilets. If you have student housing or your public restrooms, those are called Cat 3 water losses. You're not supposed to dry that. If you get to it real quick, you can sanitize it if you have hard surfaces, non-porous. But if there's any drywall or wooden trim or soft flooring, vinyl flooring, that kind of thing, that's called a Cat 3 water loss. We don't dry Cat 3. We rip it out and replace it because otherwise John Morgan's going to call you with a big letter. Be careful with Cat. Dishwashers, fish tanks. Anybody have aquariums in their campuses? Those create additional problems. That's not a simple water cleanup. They're a little more involved. Of course, your outside flooding and any kind of freshwater overflow. Groundwater flooding, anything rising water from outside, automatically a Cat 3 water loss. It's the worst kind. Your insurance company expects you to rip everything out. You do not dry flood water. It's got more pathogens and cooties in there than you can shake a stick at it. So they expect you to cut it out 3 foot beyond where the water touched because it's inside. You can't see it. There's viral fecal matter, all kinds of things in the flood water. It's the worst kind. Wind damage, tornadoes, the devastating impact tornadoes can cause randomly and quickly without warning, not like a hurricane, very localized and isolated, and you don't really know it's coming until it hits you. And they bounce around. This property's kind of cool because I like the fact that you can see the properties in the upper corner didn't really get touched, but you can see where the trail of the tornado kind of ripped through and bounced a little bit. And if you look toward like the dirt pad on the left side, there's a building in between there that's completely leveled. That was a 2-story townhome building, just flattened it. It's our job that we did in Chattanooga a little while back. That's from the parking lot. The wind damage from a tornado is devastatingly strong. If you ever been through, I'm from Dallas, Texas, and lived in Oklahoma. I'm used to tornadoes. That 2x4 went through the windshield, through the passenger seat, and out the sheet metal of the passenger door. Very strong. You don't want to be caught in that stuff. I went backwards, sorry. So the other thing is we're talking about preparedness today. I want you to be prepared because you may be the most squared away shop you've ever dealt with. But what if your shop looks like that after the storm? And all your supplies and your batteries and your flashlights and everything's in there. Do you have a backup plan? Do you have a B plan? Do you have another sister property that can help you out recover if all your stuff is gone? Hurricane damage, that's probably why most of you are here. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Hurricane season is always on June 1st through November 30th. And this year is coming up quick. We have, this is last year's because they haven't put the predictions out yet, which will come out probably in about a month from now. You want to watch NOAA and the Hurricane Center for the new predictions. But this is last year's hurricane outlook. They had 13 and 19 named storms predicted, 6 to 10 hurricanes, 3 to 5 becoming major hurricanes. And last year, I think we all can say it was kind of a relatively quiet year, right? In fact, we had no hurricane response at all last year, which is fine, by the way. I hate hurricanes. I'd rather sleep in my own bed every night. And I don't want my own house damaged, which I've had happen 5 times. But yes, they were quiet. And if you remember, most of them were in the Atlantic and they kept going out. Very good. But as far as predictions go, they did a really good job. These people know what they're doing. So they predicted 13 to 19 named storms. We had 13 actual last year. They predicted 6 to 10 of those would become hurricanes. 5 of them did, very close. And major hurricanes predicted was 3 to 5, and we had 4. They hit it right on the money. And if you don't remember, the worst one was the last one, Melissa. This is the second largest hurricane on record. And it hit Jamaica right in the middle of the crotch and went right through the middle and flooded and tore it apart. They're still recovering. There's about 95 people that lost their lives, billions of dollars in damage, and it's Jamaica. Everything's poor there, so billions is a lot. And if you have any, relief funds or anything you're doing with your charitable organizations or churches, they can use all the help they can get. They got clobbered. So yes, we had a quiet year. Not everybody did. So keep that in mind. It's going to hit somebody. This one hit, the impact of that one was 165 miles an hour at landfall. Unbelievable. It slammed into them. The bad news was it was moving really slow. And so it dumped a crap load of rain and water on them for about 2.5 days, and they flooded. So all the damage ripped everything open and then just flooded it all. So they experienced quite a bit. We want you to be ready for that kind of stuff. Hurricanes are very devastating. I'm sure everybody's experienced them or knows about them enough. We're in Florida. It's kind of like old hat now. But don't get calm in your heels. You want to be prepared for them. And you guys are responsible for the lives of your students, your faculty, your staff. We want you to be ready for them when they come. This picture I highlight because this is in Kissimmee here in Orlando. This was about 4 years ago. Irma hit basically down Fort Myers. Very devastating. You remember all that, and wiped out Fort Myers. Basically had to rebuild the island. But it also came up our way and went through and went out Daytona, clobbered a couple of hotels. It put one of my customers' swimming pool from a high-rise hotel out in the ocean, condo rather. But when it was here, it dumped quite a bit of rain on it, and they had closed all the chain of lake systems down during that time to give relief to Fort Myers. So all of our flood water didn't go down there and make it worse for them, which is great for Fort Myers. But here in Central Florida, all of our lakes were already at high water. And this property, right in the heart of Kissimmee, downtown almost, was a low-income property, and they were right next to one of the drainage canals. And the city had not been maintaining the sewers and the runoff, and it was full of branches and debris and grass. And this property kind of sits in a little bit of a gully, worst conditions possible. So it flooded, I think there's 75 homes in this community. It flooded 70 of the 75 homes. And so remember what I said, when flood water hits, we cut everything out and we throw it in the dumpster. We don't keep it, we don't dry it. So that's what you're kind of looking at. The entire campus of that parking lot looked like that. So pretty bad. And think about, in our current economy, the price of rent, low-income housing, and the availability of housing, especially for low income. That was a really bad combination. Has any of that happened to you? Fires, floods, water damage, mold, hurricanes? Anybody have any stories, testimonies? Don't want to talk about it? Still got PTSD?
Well, I would say what happened this year was the hard freeze.
Yeah, the freeze. Yep.
Fresh air units were coils failed, and then you had the water dump into a classroom.
Thank you.
Which was, we had that kind of temperatures here in 2 decades. That was fine. We had so many backflows that the relief valves, froze, and backflow was spraying water everywhere. So, yeah, something else is now we're going to put an SOP together to make sure we're prepared for the next time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks, Chris. And we do, a lot of pipe freeze work too. I don't think about it because we're here. But one of our best years was it 5 years ago or whatever in Houston and Dallas. They had so many apartment complexes, they were just bursting. Their entire buildings were bursting. And they didn't know what to do. They don't deal with that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're right. That's something else to put on your list of things to be prepared for. So it's time to learn. Let me give you some practical tips. I have 12 steps on how to get ready. Be ready before the storm hits, right? Before the problem hits you. I'm a military family guy. I'm a Boy Scout leader, and we're all about being prepared and practicing and running through it and rehearsing. So Ben Franklin says, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So we're trying to give you some steps to be ready and to be prepared. So step number 1 is no accident. And I'm not trying to be cute here, but you do need to develop a relationship with your emergency restoration contractor. And I don't mean have his phone number in your phone. I mean, you need to know their name, you need to know their company, you need to have all their paperwork in your system. You need to have a couple of jobs that you've worked together. You need to know what kind of company you're dealing with. Do they take care of things? Do they show up quickly? Do they know you and your staff and where your shutoffs are? How your campus is laid out? Where all the bodies are buried on campus? You need to have that relationship now. Now, the great news is this conference is happening in April. We've got time. You've got a couple of months to get ready. So normally I'm giving this presentation. Guess when this presentation, everybody wants to have me come give this talk? In June and July. It's too late. Now, we normally get hit, if you look at the pattern of hurricanes, most of the hurricanes hit us usually in September, October. That's where the bad ones really come. But it can happen in June. It's happened in June. So don't take that for a discount. But, and if it's Belfor, great, call me. I'd love to work with you. But if, whoever it is, develop that relationship now. Because when you wait and the storm hits, you're done. I don't even know what your name is. I've already got my other 20 customers I've been working with for the past 5 years that I've already, I know their first name. I know their kid's name. We've played golf together. I'm going to take care of them. And yes, if I can get to you, I will. But that's how everybody is. Don't wait until the last minute. Do that now. Step number 2, you want to review your emergency plan SOP. Hopefully you all have one. If you don't, and I'm happy to share mine, reach out, send me an email, text me, call me, whatever. But we've got a really nice, very simple SOP. It's about 10 pages long. That'll help. It may open up some ideas. It may tweak yours a little bit to cover some things. I think I'm going to look at it and see if there's freeze damage in there, Chris, because that's a good one. But just have a plan, and then make sure you go through the plan with your team once a year. I mean, then now's a good time, or definitely next month. All right, let's get everybody together. Hurricane season starts in June. Let's talk about this. Get ready. Does everybody have what they need? Do you have redundancies? Do you have, locations? Where's our leaky roofs? Where's our window problems? Let's fix those now before we have an issue hit us in the face. Step 2, in preseason, that's where, we're almost in. So review your plans, assign roles. What happens if, number 1's on vacation, number 2's on vacation, number 3's sick. His dog got, in the vet or something. Do you have redundancies? Do you have a plan? Who's responsible for what? Go inspect your property, walk your campus, get in the golf cart, go look for things. Call me. I'll come out and do a free property assessment with you. If you have concerns, we'll walk it with you. It costs you nothing. I'll look at some things. We'll even give you a proposal if we see something. Send it to your board for review, get it approved. Let's get it fixed before the storms hit. Okay? That's a great idea. Communicate procedures to your tenants, your staff, your students. Enroll in Belfor has a red alert program. It's our priority response. So you're first on call. We already have all the information we need to take care of you in the middle of the night when these things happen. Or whoever your restoration partner is, they all have similar plans. Get with them now. Step number 3 is you want to ensure the safety of yourself, your employees, and your students. And I say yourself first. If my house gets hit during a hurricane, guess who I'm taking care of first? My house. Belfor is going to show up at my house because my wife isn't going to let me come to your campus and take care of you until my place is squared away. So make sure your place is squared away. Make sure you have your preparations. Make sure your insurance is covered, your food, your water, all the things. And then take care of your team. They need the same thing. Encourage them to take care of their homes. And obviously your student, your faculty, and staff. If you got pets, some have pets on campus. Make sure the pets are squared away. You got extra food, water, supplies, medicines. Take care of the pets. Don't forget them. Some people take better care of their pets than their kids, so that's usually not a problem. Step 4, communicate with your supplier partners. Now, we talked about your restoration partner, but you have other ones, your roofer, your mechanical, your plumber, your irrigation. Do you have generators? Do you have a fuel supplier? All those things. Talk to them now. Get ready for it. Hey, I just, hit this emergency preparedness class at FLAPA. What is our plan? What would happen if? What are we looking like on supplies? Our price is going to skyrocket 30 days prior. Should we look at any repairs that we've been putting off for too long? Have those conversations now. Now's a great time to have it. Generate an emergency access letter. It's not going to probably apply to most of you because remember, I do industry, all kinds of different industries. But I will be on call. I have a great client. He's a number 1 person, expects me to be there in the middle of the night, and I am. And a hurricane hits him, a fire hits him, flood, whatever. And I go to get to him, especially in a hurricane situation. I'm rolling down the highway and I run into these guys, or the red and blue lights. And they don't know who I am from Adam. And guess what? Every other restoration contractor in the world's also saying they need to be at that property and they know them and they're best friends. So the key to that is to make sure you had a letter ahead of time to say, hey, Brent with Belfor and his team are cleared to come visit me in the event of, major catastrophe or emergency. That is my get out of jail free card. I can get usually right through that line pretty quickly. And time is it can be your friend or enemy. So the quicker I get to you, the better. That happens primarily when there's big hurricanes and I'm headed to Fort Myers and we have to go through the middle of the state to get to them. Step 6, plan an alternative work center. Hopefully you have this already in mind, but it's a reminder. What happens if your campus gets hit? What if you got flooded? What if you had a tornado or hurricane hit you? What if your shop got, devastated like that picture I showed you? Do you have an alternative work center? Do you have redundancy of tools and supplies, radios, all the stuff you need to make sure you get your things done? So consider rental, storage units, mobile minis, connexes, alternative campus arrangements. You got to plan those in advance too, especially when hurricanes hit. Everybody else already has those things locked up. So you start calling them when they've announced the hurricane, you're too late. So talk to them now. Number 7, hopefully you all are way more expert than I am at this, but identify your power needs. Make sure you have backup generators in place, your fuel to support those things. You know where all the connections are. Your team knows where to go if you're not available or can't be reached. Clear instructions for water and gas shut off. Hopefully you all got that handled. Determine security needs. That's a big deal. Most of your campuses have security. Remember, I talked to all different kinds of businesses, but they'll go rent, 20,000 kW generator and throw it next to the building, and the next morning it's not there anymore. So make sure you also call the fencing guy and the lock. And then these little, I'm sure you've seen them by now, these little mobile security stations are great. They're not too expensive. They're about, I think about 2,000 a month, 3,000, depending on the company. But they've got the beacons on them. They've got live cameras. They're remote operated and monitored 24 hours a day. Some of them are solar powered, so a hurricane's not an issue with power. And they record everything, and they can even warn people, trespassers. They're watching them live. They're warning them. They're telling them the authorities are on the way. Those are great things to have in advance. Might be something to consider, especially if you have your administration building, sensitive records, health documents, things like that. You want to protect, especially. Those would be a great idea to have. Step number 10 out of 12, prepare the property. This is the no kidding stuff, but just a reminder, call your tree guy now, talk to your roofers now, get your leaks looked at, get your gutters cleared out, make sure your drainage is good, your irrigation's not pointed at the windows and doors, all the things, right? Tree guys love it when people wait till the last minute. They double their prices. So call the tree guys now. They're bored right now, but they won't be for long. Get everything cleared off the buildings. You want to also make sure you get all your preps stored away. Keep in mind, we're talking about personal as well as professional. So have stuff at the shop. What if you got closed in and everybody has to, basically live and operate out of the campus? You bring the families in. Do you have enough food, water, and supplies to keep them going for a week or so? Or what about charitable stuff? What if somebody else needs it? Your team's good, but maybe the other guys on the other side of the fence need your help. So think about that stuff in advance. I don't want you walking into Walmart and fighting over toilet paper and water like most people do. Now's a good time to get it, and it's on sale. Step 11, prepare communications. Hopefully you're good at this, but there's lots of apps out there. What if your phone's not working? We all rely on our cell phones way too much. But let's think about what do you do if it doesn't? And that could happen. The emergency response people, the military and so on, they basically take over the cell phones when it's a limited signal availability. So you want to have a backup plan for that. There's apps out there, WhatsApp, all the group chat type things that we can have. As long as you can get, internet connection of some kind, you're probably going to be able to still communicate. But then think about what if you can't? Smoke signals, whatever it takes. Everybody rally at the shop at 9 a.m. on Monday, and have a plan so you can communicate, number one. I like to throw this picture in there. This is a really good idea for your staff. So after the storm, after the event, safety. You want to, maintain safety, make sure your team is safe. And probably the first thing you're going to be asked to do is get your team on site to go put eyeballs on everything and report, take pictures, which is great. But we show the radio. A lot of people don't think about this, especially in multifamily. So I recommend this to their team. But to have someone that's on the radio and another person taking notes. You got two individuals are kind of watching where they're walking, not stepping on nails or debris or glass. We've had an incident where someone fell through an open manhole after a flood and broke their jaw, almost killed them. So it's great to have eyes on task. You know that, your OSHA and all that. So it's just good to have two people. One person is taking notes back at the shop or something. Somebody's out there with a radio walking and they're keeping their eyes. They're not having to focus on notes going back and forth. You also want to keep in touch with your affiliations, your government agencies, your insurance department. any kind of charitable services, American Red Cross, Hatching Hope, and others. Make sure the any announcements that come out from FEMA, USDA, or other company or other agencies about diseases, outbreaks. A lot of people get sick after these events happen, so you can share that with your staff. Use extra, PPE and protection, making sure you're taking safe steps. And then finally, number 12, track the weather. So hopefully you're all good at that. We all become weather experts during hurricane season. And my favorite, I'd say pretty much across the board on our side and the restoration side, is we go to Mike's weather page. If you don't know Mike, he's a Florida guy. He's a Tampa guy. Kind of like if you remember the movie Twister, he's that guy, but he's all about chasing storms. He's got the truck that's all, jacked up. It's got logos and lights all over it. And he's just a funny guy. That's him in the bottom right, the heavier guy in the blue shirt. But he runs a really good channel, especially during storm season. He goes into the eye of the storm. There's been times where the news, they love to glamorize and make it just the sky is falling. Mike will get in his truck and go right in the middle of him. He's like, I'm not even wet, come on. And if it's bad, if Mike says it's bad, I'm going to get worried. So he's a great resource. On his page, which is spaghettimodels.com, he also has a Facebook page. He does a live report every morning, especially when there's, something happening. But his spaghettimodels.com, that's where I go. It's one-stop shop. It's got, the Hurricane Center. It's got FEMA. It's got all the satellite, radar, wind, flood tables, predictions. It's got everything you need right on that one page. It's a great resource and it's free. So super good stuff. And I threw this in here for kind of a funny remembering thing, because I can never remember if, watch, warning, is it bad? Which one's worse? I can't remember, right? So for me, I like to eat. So with food, it makes it easy to remember. So when there's a watch, you're going to make some tacos, right? So you went to the store, you got all the ingredients. You got your meat, your cheese, your sour cream, your shells, whatever you're going to put in the taco. It's not a taco yet. It's sitting in the refrigerator in the pantry. So you're watching to see if a taco happens, right? If it's a warning, you made tacos, you're getting ready to eat some tacos. So hopefully that helps you remember. And if you don't like tacos, I got one for cake. So good for everybody. Now we're going to talk about water. I'm going to wrap this up here in about 5 minutes. Most of the stuff that you really need to know about and what you're going to hit from day to day, as well as after the storm, is going to be on mold growth that happens after the storm and how important it is to respond quickly to water damage. So in my business, and part of that IICRC, is we have what's called the Rule of 72. It's more of a guideline, Pirates of the Caribbean, but we call it the Rule of 72. So after any water damage event, it's critical to dry materials out within, guess how many hours? Bingo, 72 hours to prevent the growth of our friend mold. And we call that secondary damage. A lot of your drywall can be dried out as long as you respond quickly. The longer it sits there, the worse it gets. And it spreads, and it's mostly invisible. You can't see it. So it'll go all over the place, not just where you can see it. What's that? Insulation, the studs, even your metal, everything. It affects all of it. Any porous materials. So we have 3 categories of water. Category 1, clean water, basically a water supply line that's broken, a sink or tub that's overflowed, any melting ice or snow, falling rainwater that fell into your building through a window or a door would be considered category 1. Broken toilet tank or bowl, basically brand new from the supplier. Nothing's been in it. We can debate over if it's a 1 or 2 once it's been used, but primarily new equipment, any kind of fresh water supply line is going to be a category 1. That's the cheapest, fastest, and easiest water to clean up. And the faster you get to it, the better. Number 2 is gray water. So that's going to be your overflows from washing machines, laundry, dishwashers. That's going to be your toilet tanks that have been used that don't have things in it, just a used toilet, and broken aquariums or punctured water beds. Anybody still have a water bed? Anybody know what a water bed is? The younger people have no idea what I'm talking about. So there's still places, a lot of apartments, they have water beds, and the managers, when I say that, they're like, oh yeah, 202's got a water bed, and they're watching them because they know. But if that thing breaks, think about it. You fill it up with water, but it came from China. It's full of chemicals and plastics and stuff. And so if it punctures, it's a cat too. It's not the worst, but it's not fresh water. You don't want to drink it. You might get sick. Also bring up sprinkler lines. People think, okay, sprinkler water. Nope. It's got refrigerants in it. It's got oils in it. It may have rust in there, contaminants. Category 2. It's a little bit more expensive, a little harder to clean up, but it's not the worst kind. Category 3 is the worst kind. That's your black water. So sewage, obviously, any kind of sewage, or even if it's clean water that came from beyond the toilet trap and back out, category 3 automatically. Any kind of rising water, seawater, flood water, category 3. Okay. That stuff, you have to cut it out and throw it in the garbage. Replace it. So the problem is category 1 water, the good clean water that you could drink and not get sick from, if you wait, becomes category 2 water after 48 hours, 2 days. So hopefully you're monitoring everything and you're aware and it's not hidden behind a wall in a closet somewhere. But you got 2 days. You could clean that water up. It's still category 1. It's going to be cheap and fast, in and out of there in a couple of days, right? No problems. Everything's salvaged. And if you continue to wait or you don't know about it, that good, clean, category clean drinking water can become category 3, the worst, the rule of 72 in 72 hours. So you got 3 days. Now, the problem with this rule of 72 is it's for the entire United States. Unfortunately, we don't live in the United States. We live in the swamps, and our humidity and our heat makes those numbers go up. So it's still a rule. It's not really a rule. It's a guideline. So every time we check it out, we have to assess it, and we know more or less by looking at it, but you want to know for sure by getting an institutional or an industrial hygienist to test it if you're worried about legal problems. They will also give you a remedy, more or less a recipe on how to fix the problem that all your contractors would have to abide by to come back and check it to make sure it's clean. And then you have a clean document that you can put in your file, and Morgan & Morgan, when they call, you can tell them to go away. That's how you protect yourself. The other thing is I love to beat up on the carpet vendors. A lot of, especially in multifamily, they love calling the carpet guy when there's a water loss. Carpet guys are great at cleaning carpet. They will outshine me any day of the week. And they're really good at drying carpet. And they love fans. In fact, they'll even buy the fans like we have. Mine are red, but you see the blue ones all the time too. But they'll put 30 fans in a room that should have used 5, and they'll charge you for all 30 of them. And they'll dry the heck out of that carpet, and it's all good. Now, I know because we're certified on how to take care of these problems that a lot of times you have to throw the pad away. They don't do that. They'll dry it, put everything back down, walk away. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. I had a apartment complex in Orlando a couple of years ago, 8-unit, 2-story building. Lady upstairs had a kitchen sink leak, and she's one of these people that just didn't care, knew about it. It was leaking, but it wasn't her problem because she's a renter. So the downstairs people eventually found the problem. It was in their unit, called the management. The management came out, they found the problem, discovered the leak upstairs, fixed it, and they called the carpet guy because there was now, I think, 2 apartments that got wet. And a same classic story is almost like this picture on the right. They had, 15 fans, air movers, what we call them. They had 15 fans in a room that should have taken 5, and they had 1 scrubber, which takes the particles out of the air. It's a filtration, a HEPA scrubber. I could have done that probably for the same price that they called the carpet guy on and did it correctly. Unfortunately, they didn't do it correctly. They dried the carpet, but what they didn't do was dry the wall cavities or the cabinets or the subflooring, and what became a much bigger problem for them. My contact called me about 2 days after that and said, "Hey, we got a big problem. Come over." He had 5 units that were black with mold throughout occupied apartments. So we had to rip all the walls out, relocate those units, and it cost a lot of money. So just be careful with the carpet guy. Again, back to that IICRC thing. Some of them have that. If they have that, they're on the hook. They should know what they're doing, and they should be responsible if something goes wrong. So that's protection for you. But don't always think the carpet guy is your best solution, even though they're cheaper. They may be a lot more expensive in the long run. So recap, develop a plan with the restoration guy. Do it now. Now's a great time to do that. Review your SOP with your team. Make sure you have one. Ensure the safety of yourself, your employees, your residents, your students, your staff, your faculty. Communicate with your supplier partners in general. Generate an emergency access letter if you need that. Plan an alternative work center. Make sure you know your power requirements. Have clear instructions for water and gas shutoffs. Prepare the property, prepare communications, and track the weather. And that is all. Any questions? No? Usually there's a few.
If I build a relationship with Belfor, we have a catastrophe in Florida, how do I know Belfor can serve me as well as they serve all the other relationships with Belfor?
Good question. And part of why I encourage, make sure you don't just sign up with me and then forget about me until the hurricane's announced. So we do work with campuses like yours, you're very aware, and we have a regular relationship going with them. So we already know the property. Part of my job is to get to know your team, your processes, your campus layout, your water shutoffs, your after hours contact information. I want to know your mechanical guy's name. I want to know your roofer's name. We put all that into our database. We're not trying to replace your system. We're trying to enhance it and get you back to work quickly because we understand the pressures you're under. So when it comes down to it, I said in the beginning, I'm not trying to brag, but we're the biggest in the world. We had the 2 hurricanes hit a couple of years ago. We responded to that. Our entire national team was here, and it didn't even make a dent. And then, if you remember, they had the wildfires that same year in California. We helped with that as well. We had about 1,050 people in St. Petersburg that I was part of that team. It was amazing to watch. But we have more resources than anyone, and they're very cash rich. So when we needed equipment or supplies or mop, a shovel, a wheelbarrow, we called our boss. It was there the next morning in a semi truck, hundreds of them. Well, we don't have, resource issues. So when you have a smaller restoration partner, sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're really good. They have a great relationship and they can help you up to a point. But in a large situation like that, it's going to be your big boys that can really handle the big issues, especially during hurricane season. So everybody's calling everybody. And now, whoever picks up the phone first gets the work. That's not like that with us. We already know, we're letting you know in advance. We're calling you, checking on you, making sure your actual personal home is squared away. If you need help with that, things like that. It kind of sets us apart a little bit. We can handle anything you throw at us.
Another question.
Yeah, I was just wondering, do you have like a brochure that has all your info in it, or is it something we look up online?
My marketing people would love you. Yeah, we have more stuff than we could bury you with paperwork. Sure. But I recommend more of a conversation. Our website is extremely detailed. We'll have stuff at the booth as well. We have, specific marketing pieces just for universities or just for K through 12. The best thing is really to develop that relationship. Have, one of us come out to your campus, walk it with you, understand what your needs are, what you're looking for, and we can kind of customize, services on what you're looking for there.
We have a couple of new dorms that were built, and a lot of issues with windows leaking.
Yeah.
And one of the companies, I won't mention their name, was like, "Oh, you can't really build a building in Florida that doesn't leak somewhere." We're like,
Well, you guys know Roz, my associate. We were talking last night. He actually came from the window industry, so I'd say have a conversation with him. He'd love to talk to your ear off about windows. Anybody else? All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your day.